First contact fallout. The diplomatic vessel Harbinger glided through the void of space, its hull reflecting distant stars as it approached the massive Galactic Council station. Inside, Commander Elena Reyes adjusted her formal Earth uniform, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching station that looked like a gleaming silver flower blooming in space. "Nervous, Commander?" asked Dr. Marcus Chen, the expedition's lead xenolinguist. Elena's lips curved into a slight smile. "Cautious. First impressions matter when representing 4 billion humans." This was humanity's moment of triumph. After decades of listening to the stars, Earth had finally been invited to join the Galactic Council, a coalition of 27 spacefaring species. Humanity would take its place among the stars, gain access to advanced technologies, and forge alliances that would propel Earth into a new golden age. "Final approach," announced pilot Sato from the bridge. "Council Station has granted docking clearance." As the Harbinger locked into place with a gentle hiss of equalizing pressure, Elena gathered the 12-member delegation. Scientists, diplomats, and security personnel, each chosen for their brilliance and composure, stood at attention. "Remember," she said, meeting each person's eyes, "we represent Earth, all of us. Our mission is to build bridges, not barriers." Security Chief Jackson Torres checked his concealed stunner one last time. "Protocol states minimal defensive capabilities only," he reminded his team. "We're guests here. Act accordingly." The airlock cycled open to reveal 3 tall, willowy beings with iridescent purple skin and large, multifaceted eyes that reflected the light like prisms. "Greetings, Terrans," the central figure spoke, the words translated through neural implants the delegation had received before departure. "I am High Mediator Xilrith of the Nizari. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you to Harmonic Convergence Station." The delegation followed their host through corridors that seemed to flow like liquid metal, passing alien species of every imaginable form, some insectoid, others vaguely mammalian, and several defying any Earth classification. "Impressive biodiversity," Dr. Chen whispered to Elena. "The Council values diversity," Xilrith explained, their head crest expanding slightly in what Elena's briefing identified as pride. 27 species, 27 perspectives, 1 harmony. The central chamber took their breath away, a vast dome revealing the starfield beyond through what appeared to be transparent crystal. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in concentric rings around a central dais where 5 imposing figures waited. "The Council Elders," Xilrith explained. "They represent the founding species." Elena noticed the lack of oxygen brothers among the elders. The largest, a massive tentacle being floating in a containment field, seemed to dominate the group. Its skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns as they approached. "I am Elder Drazik of the Moravian Dominion," it intoned, voice resonating directly in their minds. "Humanity's petition to join the Galactic Council has been reviewed. We have questions." The formal proceedings continued for hours. Speeches, introductions, and rituals from cultures far older than recorded human history. Throughout it all, Lieutenant Kai Alvarez, the delegation's intelligence officer, noticed something troubling. Whenever Earth's resources or population were mentioned, several delegates exchanged glances. That evening, the human delegation was shown to luxurious quarters in the diplomatic wing. Elena called a brief meeting in their secure common area. "First impressions?" she asked. Dr. Chen spoke first. "They're fascinated by our biological diversity. Earth has more biodiversity than any 3 council worlds combined." The Moravians asked pointed questions about our population centers and defense systems. Torres added, frowning. "Seemed excessive for a diplomatic exchange." "I noticed," Elena agreed. "We proceed with caution. Tomorrow, we begin substantive negotiations." Later that night, Kai couldn't sleep. The station's artificial day-night cycle had dimmed the lights, but unease kept him alert. He left his quarters to check the security systems Torres had installed. As he passed through a maintenance junction, voices drifted from a nearby chamber. alien voices speaking in frequencies barely within human hearing range. Kai activated his neural implant's recording function and listened. Resources are remarkable. Water alone makes them valuable, one voice said. Their resistance potential is minimal. Military technology primitive, defenses concentrated in predictable patterns, another replied. Containment protocols are prepared. The council vote tomorrow is merely formality. And the humans? Processing centers are prepared. Useful specimens will be preserved. The rest are expendable. Earth will serve the Dominion well. Kai's blood ran cold. He backed away silently, mind racing. He had to warn Alina, had to warn Earth. But as he turned, he found himself face to face with a Mrovian security drone, its sensor array glowing red. Security breach detected, it announced. Human biological signature in restricted zone. Alarms blared across the station. Kai ran. Back in the human quarters, Alina was awakened by the alarms and Torres bursting into her room. We're compromised, he reported, tossing her a sidearm. Security drones converging from all sides. Gather the team, she ordered. Fall back to the Harbinger. But it was already too late. The diplomatic quarters erupted in chaos as armored Mrovian soldiers poured in from every entrance. Torres and his security team fought bravely, their stunners barely affecting the aliens' armor. Dr. Chen fell first, then the others, one by one. This is a violation of diplomatic protocol, Alina shouted as two soldiers seized her arms. The Council guarantee our safety. The Council exists to serve the Dominion, replied a Mrovian commander. As Earth soon will. Through the chaos, Kai moved through maintenance shafts, evading patrols. He reached an auxiliary hangar where a small courier vessel sat unguarded. With security training that now seemed prescient, he slipped aboard and initiated launch sequence. The stolen courier broke free from the station as automated systems protested the unauthorized departure. Behind him, the Harbinger erupted in flames as Mrovian weapons tore it apart, destroying any evidence of the diplomatic mission. Pursued by Mrovian interceptors, Kai plotted the fastest course back to Earth. As the ship accelerated to faster-than-light speed, he composed an emergency transmission. First contact compromised. Delegation captured or killed. Mrovian Dominion controls Galactic Council. They plan invasion of Earth for resources and processing of human population. Prepare for war. 3 months later, Admiral Layla Hassan stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her weathered face grim as she presented the latest simulation results. On the holographic display, red swarms representing Mrovian ships overwhelmed Earth's defenses yet again. 6th simulation, 6th defeat, she reported. Even with everything we have, we can't match their technology. The war room fell silent. Military leaders from nations that had been enemies mere months ago now sat side by side, united by the common threat. The wall screens showed defense installations being built across the planet, new ships under construction in orbit, weapons systems being tested. Humanity was uniting as never before, but it might not be enough. From across the room, Dr. Sofia Novak looked up from her workstation. The neurobiologist had been recruited from her university position the day after Kay's return. Maybe we don't need to match their technology, she said. Admiral Hassan turned. Explain. Dr. Novak walked to the main display, transferring data from her tablet. 2 brain scans appeared. 1 human, 1 alien. This is a Mrovian brain constructed from Lieutenant Alvarez's neural recording, she said, pointing to one scan. And this is a human pilot during combat simulation. Notice the differences. Where the Mrovian brain showed ordered, sequential patterns of neural activity, the human brain lit up in seemingly chaotic bursts across multiple regions simultaneously. Mrovians process information sequentially, logical, ordered, predictable, Dr. Novak explained. Humans think associatively. We make intuitive leaps, connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. Our disorder might be our greatest weapon. Interesting science. General Lai said, "But how does this help us fight an alien armada?" Dr. Novak smiled. "What if our ships could respond directly to these intuitive leaps? What if we could bypass physical interfaces completely?" She brought up new schematics, a neural interface system unlike anything they had seen before. "I call it Synapse. It connects pilots directly to their ships. No controls, no delay. Think, and the ship responds." Admiral Hassan studied the designs. "How soon can you test this?" "We have prototypes. We need volunteers." Lieutenant Kai Alvarez, still bearing the psychological scars of his escape, was the first to step forward. "I'll do it," he said. "I've been inside their minds. Now let them see what's inside ours." As Earth prepared for the coming storm, on the far edges of the solar system, automated defense platforms detected the first wave of the Moravian invasion fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Thousands of ships, stretching across space like a metal tide, moved with mathematical precision toward Earth. Humanity's last stand was about to begin. In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Kai sat in a modified flight seat, neural sensors connected to specific points along his spine and skull. As technicians completed final checks, Dr. Novak's voice came through the comm system. "Remember, don't try to control a fighter. Just react naturally, as if the ship is part of your body." Kai nodded, his expression focused. Time to show these aliens what humans are really capable of. The neural interface activated, and for a moment, Kai's world exploded with sensation. He wasn't just piloting a fighter, he was the fighter. He could feel the thrum of the engines as his own heartbeat, the weapon systems as extensions of his limbs. As the first Moravian ships entered weapons range, Kai smiled. Humanity might be outgunned and outnumbered, but they were about to introduce the Moravian Dominion to something they had never encountered before: human unpredictability. The battle for Earth had begun. The awakening storm. The Moravian assault on Earth's outer defenses began with mathematical precision. Their ships moved in perfect formation, each maneuver calculated to maximize efficiency against Earth's primitive defenses. Admiral Hassan watched from the United Earth Defense Command as the first line of automated platforms fell. "They're not even trying to communicate," she noted grimly. "This isn't a war, it's a harvest." The holographic display showed thousands of Moravian vessels approaching in 3 massive battle groups. Earth's conventional forces, hastily united under a single command, prepared for the inevitable breakthrough. Civilians huddled in underground shelters across the planet, watching news feeds that tried and failed to maintain optimism. "Admiral," her aide reported, "Project Synapse is ready for deployment." In the underwater facility, Kai Alvarez led 12 pilots, the first graduates of the Neural Interface Program, toward their fighters. Each had undergone the grueling neural mapping process, allowing their consciousness to merge with their aircraft. None had experienced actual combat with the system. "Remember your training," Kai told them as technicians performed final connections. "Don't overthink. Trust your instincts. They're what the Moravians can't predict." Dr. Novak monitored their neural patterns, her face tense. "The interface is stable, but we're pushing human neurology beyond established limits. After 2 hours, you must disengage, regardless of the battle situation." Kai nodded. 2 hours to show them what humanity can do. The squadron of modified fighters launched from hidden facilities worldwide, converging on the Pacific battle zone, where the main Moravian force pushed toward Earth. Conventional forces had engaged the alien fleet, but were being systematically destroyed. The space above Earth's atmosphere had become a graveyard of human vessels. "Synapse Squadron, you are cleared to engage." Admiral Hassan's voice came through the comm. "May God be with you." Kai felt the neural interface hum through his consciousness as his fighter accelerated to attack speed. The sensation was unlike anything he could describe. He didn't control the fighter. He was the fighter. Its sensors became his extended senses, its weapons his limbs. "Stay unpredictable," he reminded his squadron. "That's our advantage." The Synapse fighters entered the battle zone like a swarm of angry wasps, moving with a speed and agility that defied conventional physics. Where Merovian vessels moved with clockwork precision, the human fighters darted chaotically, their maneuvers seemingly random but devastatingly effective. Kai dove directly into the heart of a Merovian formation, feeling rather than seeing the enemy ships tracking his movement. In a conventional fighter, the Gi forces would have rendered him unconscious, but the neural interface bypassed physical limitations. His fighter twisted impossibly, weapons firing in patterns no combat computer would calculate. 3 Merovian cruisers exploded in rapid succession. Across the battlefield, the other Synapse pilots created similar chaos. Lieutenant Maya Santos barrel rolled through the explosion of a Merovian destroyer, emerging behind a squadron of fighters that had been pursuing Earth's conventional forces. She eliminated them before they could adjust their tactical algorithms. "Their formations are breaking," she called over the comm. "They can't anticipate us." For the first time since the invasion began, Merovian ships fell in significant numbers. Their perfect formations fractured as they attempted to counter the unpredictable human fighters. But it wasn't enough. For every alien ship destroyed, 10 human vessels were lost. Earth's conventional forces continued to be decimated. In the command center, Dr. Novak monitored the Synapse pilots' neural outputs with growing concern. "Their brainwave patterns are approaching critical thresholds," she reported to Admiral Hassan. "The interface is pushing them beyond safe limits." "Can they hold?" the Admiral asked. "They have to," Dr. Novak replied. "They're our only advantage." 90 minutes into the battle, Lieutenant Santos' neural patterns suddenly flatlined. "Maya's gone," Dr. Novak announced, voice breaking. Neural overload. One by one, the Synapse pilots reached their limits. Some, like Santos, suffered catastrophic neural failure. Others were simply overwhelmed by the alien forces. After 110 minutes of combat, only Kai and 2 others remained operational. "We can't sustain this," Kai transmitted, his voice strained as he outmaneuvered 3 Merovian interceptors. "Need a new approach." As if in answer, his sensors detected a massive energy signature from the center of the Merovian fleet. A colossal vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel, easily 20 times the size of Earth's largest battleship. "New contact," reported Earth's defense network. "Classification unknown." Kai felt ice in his veins. "That's a Merovian Dominion ship, command vessel." The massive ship's arrival changed the battle dynamics immediately. The Merovian fleet reformed around it, moving with even greater coordination. Earth's remaining forces, including the Synapse fighters, found themselves being systematically isolated and eliminated. "They're receiving direct neural commands from that ship," Kai realized. "It's controlling the entire invasion force." He altered course, pushing his fighter toward the command vessel, despite the swarms of defenders. "Alvarez, what are you doing?" Admiral Hassan demanded. "Testing a theory," Kai responded, diving beneath the Merovian defensive screen. Using the neural interface, he pushed his sensors to maximum sensitivity, analyzing the command ship's energy emissions. There, a distinct pattern pulsing from the vessel's core. Not communications, but something deeper, consciousness. "It's not just a ship," he transmitted. "It's alive. Some kind of collective Merovian intelligence directing the fleet." As he approached, the defensive fire intensified. Warning signals flooded his neural link as his fighter sustained critical damage. With one final effort, Kai launched a penetrating scan directly into the heart of the command vessel before his fighter exploded. The neural interface severed violently, throwing Kai back into his physical body with such force that he screamed in agony. Medical teams rushed to stabilize him as his vital signs fluctuated wildly. "I saw it," he gasped to Dr. Novak, as consciousness faded. "The hive mind. It's their weakness." In the aftermath of the battle, Earth's forces retreated to regroup. The Merovian fleet established orbit, beginning systematic bombardment of major population centers. Initial casualty estimates exceeded 20 million in the first day alone. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, the remnants of Earth's leadership gathered. Admiral Hassan presented the grim statistics. Conventional defenses at 31% capacity. Major military installations destroyed. Synapse program down to 4 operational pilots. Civilian casualties mounting. "Then we've lost," said General Lai. "Not yet," Dr. Novak interjected, entering with a team of scientists. Lieutenant Alvarez's neural scan of the command vessel revealed something extraordinary. She displayed the scan on the main holographic projector. The image showed not a ship's schematics, but a vast neural network, a brain spanning the entire vessel. "The Moravians are a hive consciousness," she explained. "What we thought were individual aliens are actually biological extensions of a central intelligence. The command ship isn't controlling the fleet. It is the fleet, extending its consciousness through biological and mechanical proxies." "How does this help us?" demanded Admiral Hassan. "It's their strength, but also their vulnerability," Dr. Novak continued. "Their consciousness operates on specific neural frequencies. Lieutenant Alvarez's scan captured these frequencies. She brought up a waveform analysis. With this, we might be able to disrupt their hive mind." "A neural weapon?" General Lee asked. "More than that," Dr. Novak replied. "A neural virus. We can use the synapse interface in reverse, not to connect our minds to machines, but to project human consciousness directly into their neural network." "You're suggesting we hack their minds?" Admiral Hassan looked skeptical. "I'm suggesting we introduce what makes humans unique: chaos, creativity, individual thought, into a system that can't comprehend such concepts," Dr. Novak explained. "Their perfect order against our beautiful disorder." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. "It's a suicide mission," Admiral Hassan finally said. "Whoever interfaces with the Moravian consciousness might not come back." "I'll do it," came a weak voice from the doorway. Kai Alvarez stood there, pale and unsteady, supported by a medical exoskeleton. "I've been inside their mind already. I can find my way through." "You're barely recovered," Dr. Novak protested. "There's no time to train anyone else," Kai countered. "And no one else has experienced direct contact with their consciousness." Admiral Hassan studied him, then nodded slowly. "How long to prepare this neural virus?" 72 hours, Dr. Novak answered. "But we'll need a delivery system that can get Lieutenant Alvarez close enough to establish a connection." From the back of the room, a voice spoke up. "I might be able to help with that." Dr. Eliza Okonkwo stepped forward. As head of Earth's Xenobiology Division, she'd been analyzing recovered Moravian technology from downed vessels. "Their biological technology responds to specific genetic markers," she explained. "We've managed to synthesize a biokey that mimics Moravian neural patterns. It might get a small team past their defenses, at least temporarily." A plan began to form, desperate, with minimal chances of success, but the only option remaining as the Moravian bombardment continued across Earth's surface. "How many people would this team need?" Admiral Hassan asked. 4, Dr. Okonkwo replied. 1 to carry the neural payload, 3 for protection and technical support. "I'll assemble the team," General Lai said. "Our best remaining Special Forces operators." The next 72 hours passed in a blur of preparation, while Earth's remaining conventional forces launched diversionary attacks worldwide. Drawing Moravian attention, the infiltration team trained in a specialized facility. Major Dante Rodriguez, a veteran Special Forces operator, led the security detail. Tech specialist Jin Park would handle any systems they needed to access. Dr. Novak insisted on accompanying Kai to monitor the neural interface. "The modified synapse system will allow you to project your consciousness into their network," she explained to Kai during final preparations. "But there's no way to predict how their collective mind will respond to an intrusion. You'll be fighting a battle of thought, and will in an environment that doesn't follow human logic." Kai nodded grimly. "How will I deliver the payload?" Dr. Novak held up what looked like a small crystal. This contains the most chaotic, unpredictable patterns of human thought we could synthesize: creativity, emotion, contradiction, imagination. Concepts alien to their ordered consciousness. Once you're inside their network, you need to integrate this into their central nexus. And if I succeed? Dr. Novak met his eyes. Best case, the disruption cascades through their entire consciousness, severing connections between the command intelligence and its proxies. The fleet becomes disorganized, vulnerable. Worst case, you're absorbed into their consciousness, or your mind is destroyed in the attempt. Kai pocketed the crystal. Either way, it's our last chance. On the fourth day of the invasion, as Moravian forces began landing on Earth's surface, a small stealth craft launched from a hidden facility in Antarctica. Using Dr. Okonkwo's biokey, it mimicked the neural signature of a returning Moravian scout vessel. As they approached the massive command ship hanging in orbit above North America, the team held their breath. This close, the vessel's true nature became apparent, not constructed of metal and machinery, but a hybrid of biological and technological components, pulsing with eerie life. "We're being scanned," Jin reported as they neared a docking port. "Bioki is holding, but they're giving us extra attention." "Stay calm," Major Rodriguez instructed. "Remember, their sensors detect neural patterns. Uncertainty reads as suspicious." The docking sequence completed with agonizing slowness. As the airlock cycled, Dr. Novak made final adjustments to Kai's portable synapse unit, a sleek helmet connected to a backpack housing the neural processor. "Central nexus should be in the core," she whispered. "We need to get you as close as possible before activation." The team moved through pulsing corridors that seemed alive, a fusion of technology and biology that defied human engineering. They encountered few Moravian drones. Most of the ship's consciousness was focused on directing the planetary assault. "Something's wrong," Jin whispered as they descended toward the core. "Security is too light." They turned a corner and found themselves in a vast chamber. In the center floated what appeared to be an enormous brain, pulsing with bioluminescent energy. Around it, dozens of Moravian soldiers waited in formation. "They knew we were coming," Major Rodriguez realized, raising his weapon. The voice resonated directly in their minds. Cold, analytical, alien. "Did you believe we would not recognize the neural patterns of the human who invaded our consciousness?" The voice seemed amused. "You have delivered yourselves to us. The secrets of your neural technology will accelerate the processing of your species." As Moravian soldiers moved to surround them, Kai met Dr. Novak's eyes. No words were needed. It was now or never. He activated the synapse unit. The world dissolved around him as his consciousness separated from his body. For a moment, he floated in a void of pure thought. Then, drawn by the overwhelming presence of the Moravian consciousness, he plunged into a mental landscape beyond human comprehension. He had entered the hive mind. Back in the chamber, Kai's body stood motionless as Major Rodriguez and Jin formed a defensive perimeter around him and Dr. Novak, who monitored his neural patterns with growing concern. "His consciousness has made contact," she reported. "Now it's up to him." As the Moravian soldiers closed in, Earth's last hope hung in the balance, not in physical combat, but in a battle of minds that would determine humanity's fate. Humanity unleashed. Within the Moravian hive mind, Kai found himself adrift in an ocean of ordered thought. It wasn't darkness or light that surrounded him, but pure information, countless minds linked in perfect harmony, each a cell in a vast cosmic organism. The experience was overwhelming, beautiful, and terrifying. "You do not belong here, human," the collective consciousness addressed him. "Your mind is disordered, chaotic." Kai felt the hive mind analyzing him, dissecting his thoughts like a curious scientist examining a novel specimen. He could sense its fascination and revulsion at the seemingly random connections in his thinking, the emotional undercurrents that colored his logic. "You will be absorbed," the voice continued. your distinctiveness ending, your species joining our perfection. Tendrils of alien thought reached for his consciousness, attempting to unravel his identity and integrate it into the collective. Kai struggled to maintain his sense of self as the pressure intensified. "You misunderstand us," the Moravian mind continued. "We bring order to chaos. Your species suffers from individuality, billions of conflicting desires, wasteful competition, needless suffering. We offer unity, purpose." Images flooded Kai's mind. Earth transformed under Moravian control. Humans working with machine-like efficiency, all discord eliminated, all resources optimized. No war, no crime, no disagreement. Perfect order. For a moment, the vision was seductive. Then Kai remembered what he had seen in the diplomatic mission. The cold calculation, the dismissal of human life as expendable, the casual cruelty masked as efficiency. This isn't peace. Kai projected his thoughts back at the collective. It's extinction. Humanity without what makes us human. He felt the collective's dismissal. Your chaos will end. Resistance merely prolongs suffering. The mental tendrils tightened around his consciousness. Kai felt his identity beginning to fragment under the pressure. With his last coherent thought, he reached for the neural virus Dr. Novak had given him. Not the physical crystal, but its information pattern now encoded in his mind. "You want to understand humans?" He challenged the hive mind. "Then understand this." He released the virus, not with calculation, but with emotion. Rage at the betrayal of the diplomatic mission. Grief for those who had already died. Hope for Earth's survival. Love for humanity in all its messy imperfection. The virus spread through the hive mind like wildfire, carrying with it the essence of human consciousness. Contradictions, creativity, intuition, emotion. Concepts alien to the ordered Moravian collective. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The perfect harmony of the hive mind fractured as it tried to process ideas that defied its fundamental nature. Order versus chaos. Logic versus emotion. Collected versus individual. The philosophical questions that humans had wrestled with for millennia crashed through the Moravian consciousness like a tidal wave. What is this? The collective's voice splintered into thousands of confused fragments. Kai felt the pressure on his mind ease as the hive consciousness turned inward, struggling to contain the cascading disruption. He pushed deeper, guiding the virus toward what he sensed was the core of the collective intelligence. In the physical world, the effect was immediate. Moravian soldiers surrounding Kai's team suddenly froze, their coordinated movements becoming erratic. Some collapsed, others began moving in random patterns or stood motionless. "It's working," Dr. Novak exclaimed, watching her neural monitor. "The hive mind is destabilizing." Major Rodriguez didn't waste the opportunity. "Move. We need to get back to the ship." Jin helped Dr. Novak lift Kai's unresponsive body as the Major cleared a path through the disoriented Moravian forces. Throughout the command vessel, chaos spread. Biological systems pulsed erratically, lighting fluctuated, and automated defenses activated randomly. "The whole ship is losing cohesion," Jin reported as they rushed back toward the docking bay. Neural disruption is cascading through their entire system. On Earth, Admiral Hassan watched in astonishment as the Moravian assault suddenly lost coordination. Attack formations dissolved into random movements. Some ships fired on each other, while others drifted powerlessly. "What's happening?" she demanded. "The command structure is collapsing," a tactical officer reported. "It's like they've forgotten how to fight." Inside the Moravian collective, Kai navigated the fragmenting consciousness, pushing toward its core. The once ordered mindscape had become a maelstrom of conflicting thoughts as the virus spread. Individual identities, long suppressed by the collective, began to emerge, confused, frightened, some curious, others angry. At the core, Kai found what he sought, the original Moravian consciousness from which the hive had grown. Not a monster, but a being that had evolved toward perfect efficiency at the cost of everything else. It regarded him with something akin to bewilderment. "What have you done?" it asked. "Centuries of perfect harmony. Destroyed." "Not destroyed," Kai corrected. "Transformed. You tried to eliminate what you saw as our weakness, our individuality, our emotions, our creative chaos. But that's our strength." He sensed the entity struggling to understand. A mind so ancient and powerful, yet unable to comprehend the simplest human concepts. Compassion. Empathy. The beauty of imperfection. "Your invasion of Earth is over," Kai continued. "Your collective is fractured. But it doesn't have to end in destruction. There's another way." Back on the stealth ship, Dr. Novak monitored Kai's neural patterns with growing alarm. "He's been connected too long," she told the others as they initiated launch sequence. "Neural degradation is accelerating. If we don't pull him out soon, we'll lose him." "Can you terminate the connection remotely?" Rodriguez asked. "I can try, but it might damage his consciousness," she replied, fingers flying over the neural interface controls. "Kai, if you can hear me, you need to withdraw now." Within the hive mind, Kai felt the pull of Dr. Novak's signal, a lifeline back to his physical body. But his work wasn't finished. "Listen carefully," he addressed the core consciousness. "I'm offering you a choice, something your collective has never considered. Continue this invasion, and humanity will find a way to destroy you completely. We're resourceful, adaptable, and now we understand your weakness." He showed the entity images of human history, civilizations rising from ashes, innovations born from desperation, the indomitable will to survive against overwhelming odds. Or, Kai continued, "Withdraw your forces. Learn to coexist. Perhaps even learn from what makes us different." The entity's response came slowly, painfully, as it struggled with concepts alien to its nature. Choice, coexistence, concepts we abandoned millennia ago. Perhaps there is something to learn. Kai felt his consciousness beginning to fragment. He couldn't maintain the connection much longer. "Decide," he urged. A pulse of energy rippled through the mindscape, not an attack, but a command spreading outward through the fractured collective. As Kai's awareness began to fade, he sensed the Moravian forces receiving new instructions. Retreat. Kai's consciousness snapped back to his body with such violence that he convulsed, nearly breaking the restraints securing him to the medical couch. Dr. Novak work.